a woman's indomitable spirit led her not only to freedom, but led countless others to theirs. This is a story about Harriet Tubman, an extraordinary figure in American history. Born into slavery, Tubman escaped to become the hope and voice for justice. Her work as a conductor on the Underground Railroad earned her the name Moses. They believe that she had rescued the enslaved people to freedom through difficult journeys, yet her heroism did not stop there. During the Civil War, she served as a Union spy, scout, and nurse, risking her life behind enemy lines. Tubman was also a tireless advocate for civil rights and women's suffrage, championing equality long after the war ended. Harriet Tubman's legacy is one of courage, resilience, and relentless pursuit of justice, making her an enduring symbol of the fight for freedom and human rights. But before we dive right in, if you find stories like this inspiring, kindly consider hitting the subscribe button to keep coming back for more. And now, to our story. Who is Harriet Tubman, and what did she do? She was born into the harsh realities of slavery as Araminta Minty Ross in 1822. Harriet then began her life on a plantation in Dorchester County, Maryland, being one of 9 children born to Harriet Ritt Green and Ben Ross, who were enslaved on separate plantations. Tubman's early years were brutal, and they had to endure the relentless labor that came with enslavement. Her mother, Ritt, played a significant role in chiseling Tubman's character, instilling in her a sense of strength, resilience, and an unyielding spirit. From a very tender age, Tubman exhibited a strong will and determination. Despite the oppressive environment, she maintained an incredible sense of independence. This inner strength was crucial for her survival later to aid in her courageous expedition. However, her early life was also riddled with profound trauma. When she was 12, Tubman suffered a severe head injury when an overseer threw a heavy metal weight intended for another enslaved person. The injury caused her to experience severe headaches, seizures, and visions, which she interpreted as divine messages. These health issues did not deter her spirit, rather they became part of her extraordinary journey to become the Moses that was to come. As Harriet grew older, the hardships of slavery became more unbearable, and the idea of freedom grew inside her. This inner longing eventually led her to make a life-changing decision that would change the course of her life. In 1849, after the death of her owner, Harriet Tubman made the courageous decision to escape from slavery. She feared that she would be sold and separated from her family, and because of this, she resolved to flee. Tubman then began on this journey alone, with no one to rely on but herself. She traveled by night to avoid detection and navigated the treacherous landscape with the help of the Underground Railroad, a clandestine network of safe houses and abolitionists dedicated to assisting enslaved people in their flight to freedom. Her journey was a dangerous one. Every step she took could lead to capture and severe punishment. But in spite of the constant threat, Tubman was still determined. She dealt with fear and fatigue all through her journey, her hope for liberty keeping her alive. She arrived at her first destination, Pennsylvania, a free state where she could finally breathe the air of freedom. Upon reaching Pennsylvania, Tubman felt a sense of relief and joy. She later recounted, "When I found I had crossed that line, I looked at my hands to see if I was the same person. There was such glory over everything." With her own freedom, Harriet Tubman's next chapter began, dedicating her life to the liberation of others and writing the story of her role as a legendary conductor on the Underground Railroad. After running away, she made the brave decision to return to the South to rescue her family and others still trapped in the brutal bonds of slavery. Over the next decade, Tubman went on approximately 13 missions. Tubman employed various methods and strategies to evade capture and guide escapees safely. She traveled under the cover of night, navigating through dense forests and rivers. Tubman relied on an intricate network of safe houses and sympathetic abolitionists who provided shelter and support along the way. She also used clever disguises and codes to communicate and coordinate movements. Her deep knowledge of the terrain and her resourcefulness were crucial in evading the relentless slave catchers and their dogs. Tubman's relationship with other abolitionists and conductors was crucial to her success. She collaborated closely with William Still and Thomas Garrett, who who were integral to the Underground Railroad. Through her efforts, Tubman is estimated to have directly helped around 70 people to freedom, though her influence and guidance indirectly assisted hundreds more. Each mission was extremely risky, including the constant threat of capture and severe punishment, but Tubman had faith that made her deal with fear and doubt. Her extraordinary leadership and bravery earned her the nickname Moses, likening her to the biblical figure who led his people to freedom. As the nation plunged into a civil war, Harriet Tubman's role evolved further, giving her more responsibility and exposing her to more risks. Can you imagine enduring such an ordeal under intense pressure? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. During the Civil War, Harriet Tubman expanded her efforts beyond the Underground Railroad, playing crucial roles that significantly impacted the Union war effort. Initially, she served as a nurse, cook, and laundress for the Union Army, providing essential care and support to wounded soldiers and those suffering from disease. Her knowledge of herbal medicine gained during her years of enslavement was indeed invaluable in treating soldiers and alleviating their suffering. Tubman's contributions were more than her contributions as a nurse. She became an effective spy and scout for the Union forces, leveraging her intimate knowledge of Southern terrain and her ability to blend in unnoticed. Tubman went ahead to gather critical intelligence on the Confederate positions and troop movements. This information was vital for planning Union military strategies. Her scouting missions often required her to venture into hostile territory, where she risked capture and execution. One of her most notable achievements was leading the Combahee River raid in June 1863. Tubman, alongside Colonel James Montgomery, planned a daring mission, which involved guiding Union troops through Confederate-held territory to raid plantations along the Combahee River in South Carolina. The raid resulted in the liberation of over 700 slaves. This was not only remarkable, but it was a symbolic victory that showed the Union's commitment to freedom. Tubman's Civil War contributions had a profound impact on the Union's success. Her intelligence-gathering missions gave the Union critical information, and her direct actions, such as the Combahee River raid, demonstrated the Union's resolve and commitment to ending slavery. Apart from the success of the raid, Tubman also has a legacy that preceded the war. After the Civil War, Harriet Tubman's advocacy extended into civil rights and women's suffrage. She tirelessly campaigned for the rights of African Americans and women, believing in the power of equality and justice. In 1908, she established the Harriet Tubman Home for the Aged in Auburn, New York, providing a safe haven for elderly African Americans. Tubman's work in social reform and humanitarian efforts continued throughout her life, as she supported and uplifted African American communities and championed women's rights. In honor of her remarkable life and in response to popular demand, the U.S. Treasury Department announced in 2016 that Harriet Tubman would replace Andrew Jackson as the central figure on a new $20 bill. Her legacy of courage, compassion, and commitment to justice remains a beacon of hope and inspiration. Harriet Tubman's incredible story, from escaping slavery to leading countless others to freedom, shows hope, resilience, and courage. Her legacy continues to inspire, reminding us that determination and bravery can overcome the greatest obstacles. If this remarkable story moved you, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more inspirational stories like this. Please don't forget to click the bell icon so you never miss an update. Also, do well to like and share this video to keep the legacy of hope and resilience alive in the memory of Harriet Tubman.